morning, everybody. Well, this week we're going to be talking about the same two people as last week. Do you remember who they were? One of them changed his name and one of them had the same name. One of them was Paul, who used to be known as Saul, and the other one was Barnabas. And do you remember what we made last week? We made a boat. And do you remember I said that Paul and Barnabas needed a boat because they were going to do a lot of travelling. Well, today we're going to discover how far they travelled and why they travelled. Well, Paul and Barnabas travelled because they wanted to share the good news about Jesus. And they started off, I even have a map here, they started off here, a little place called Antioch. And if you look at the red line, you can see exactly why they needed a boat. Because they started here, they sailed all the way down to Cyprus, they travelled through Cyprus, and then they travelled back up here to a place called Perga. And then they travelled overland, came back round, moved all the way down here, got back to Perga, and then sailed all the way back to Antioch. Now, how long do you think that journey was? I'll tell you how long it was. It was 1,400 miles. That is a huge journey nowadays. But in those days, because they didn't have fast cars, they didn't have planes, like I said, all they could do when they wanted to travel was go on a boat if they wanted to go across the water. Now, you might think, why did they not just go from Antioch across the way? Well, two reasons. One, because they'd have missed out Cyprus and they wanted to talk to people in Cyprus. And also because there were a whole lot of mountains in the way, so that it would have taken them forever to get across the mountains. Now, everywhere they went, they met people, they told people about Jesus. Sometimes they did miracles. Barnabas was always there to keep Paul going. Paul and Barnabas were great friends, but Barnabas was something else. Barnabas was really good at getting people together who'd fallen out. Now, I don't know about you, but over the last few weeks, we've been playing a lot of board games in our house. Really important that you know the rules for board games. And it's really important that you all have the same rules for board games. Now, when I was younger, I used to play Monopoly with my brother. And my brother had a very special rule in Monopoly. He always got to be the banker. Well, that's all right. But my brother's rule about being the banker was that whenever you had to pay income tax or any of the things that were in chance or community chest to the bank, the money didn't just go to the bank, it went to the banker because he had to do all the hard work of looking after the money. So whenever I had to pay £200 of income tax, I had to give it straight to my brother. And what a surprise! My brother used to win Monopoly all the time. Now that was because he'd made a rule that meant that he was always going to win and he was always going to beat me. I expect you know what happened next. I used to get into a really bad mood. I wouldn't want to play with him anymore. He would laugh and say that he had won. That didn't make for a very happy household, and it didn't make for us playing very many games of Monopoly unless my mum and dad were there to make sure that he didn't make up that special rule. So sometimes rules can be, well, people just don't agree on them. I don't know if that's happened with you. Maybe it does. Well, that's what happened to Paul and Barnabas. You see, Paul and Barnabas wanted the good news for everybody. Not just for Jewish people, but for everybody, because that's what Jesus has said. He had brought the good news to everyone. But there were still some people who thought that they were very special and they ought to be allowed to keep the news just for themselves. And they wanted to make up special rules. They wanted to make it that people had to eat special food. They wanted to make it that people had to be special in their bodies. And they wanted to make it so that other people couldn't join them. Do you know they wanted to make it like a wee special club that was just for them? Do you think that's what Jesus would have wanted? I don't think so. In fact, I know that's not what Jesus would have wanted. So Paul and Barnabas had to travel all the way back from all the places that they'd been visiting. Remember I said they started off here, went all the way around there? Well, they had to come all the way back to Antioch, which is where some of these people who wanted a wee special club were getting a lot more people on their side. And I'm afraid that's what it had become like. It had been like two sides of, like a football match. Two sides fighting against one another, wanting to win. So Paul and Barnabas came. And Barnabas came into his own because he was very gentle and he tried to get people to see either side of the question so that they didn't just fight, they listened to one another. And then Paul and Barnabas spoke about all those places, all these places that they stopped, and how they had told those people in all those places about God, about Jesus, how there had been miracles, how people had set up little churches, and how people had become real followers of Jesus. And listening in that place was somebody whose name you'll know really well. It was Peter. Do you remember Peter? Peter, who had said he didn't believe, he didn't know Jesus 3 times, and then 3 times had said to Jesus that he loved him, loved him, loved him. And now Peter was a big leader in the church. And when Paul and Barnabas began to talk about how we shouldn't have rules in this new church that meant that others couldn't be in the club, Peter stood up and said, "You're right. The news about Jesus is for everyone. Everybody should know about Jesus. Everybody is loved by Jesus. And we should stop making silly rules that mean that others can't join us. We should have the church for everyone." So Paul and Barnabas and Peter persuaded everyone that the good news of Jesus is for everyone. And you know what? The good news about Jesus is for everyone. And I'm so pleased that there aren't silly rules, that we can just go to Jesus and we can tell him how much we love him, and we can know that Jesus loves all of us just the way we are. How wonderful is that? Now, all the time that Paul and Barnabas sailed, they were together on the boat. That's great. To have a friend with you is fantastic. But you know, there's a song about somebody else who was in the boat as well. And of course, it's Jesus. Wherever we go, Jesus is with us. And the song is, with Jesus in the boat, you can smile at the storm. So even if you're in the middle of quite a bad time, Jesus is right there with you. So Tamara's going to play with Jesus in the boat, you can smile at the storm. And the fun thing is, you try singing it at home. Once you've got a hold of the tune, and try and sing it, missing out some of the words. So the first time you might sing, with Jesus in the boat, you can smile at the storm. The second time you have to sing with in the boat, you can smile at the storm. The next time you have to sing with Jesus in the, you can smile at the storm. The third time you can miss out all those words with in the, at the storm, at the storm, at the storm, with in the, at the storm, as we go sailing on. Have a shot at that, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.